How do you turn a 5-year plan into a 5-month plan? Or unimaginable childhood trauma into a life of purpose and service? This week on the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast, I sit down with Lisa Allen, coach, strategist, global systems consultant, philanthropist, and advocate for healing and innovation, a true multi-potentialite. Lisa pours her gifts into countless avenues, giving back in ways that create lasting impact. Once placed in foster care marked by abuse and neglect, she has transformed her story into one of courage and service. And in our conversation, Lisa shares why mental and physical health must come first in all healing, how trauma shapes leadership, the power of nurturing in childhood, and why she believes there's always a solution, even if it just takes some time. Her journey is a powerful reminder that it's possible to rebuild a life filled with dignity, purpose, and love. To learn more about Lisa, go to journeytomycup.com. To stay connected, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Today is the Day Live It, or subscribe to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel. And to learn more about how I help leaders and organizations strengthen culture, improve communication, and drive profitable growth through authentic connection and courageous action, go to todayisthedayliveit.com. And don't miss the upcoming Today is the Day Changemakers International Forum, a free global event where changemakers will share insights across 6 different powerful topics: the burnout breakthrough, rewriting the rules of working in wellness, rising to uncertainty, how to lead with resilience in unpredictable times, louder than the scroll, when fundraising follows purpose, becoming who you haven't met yet, and entrepreneurship as a global connector. Register for free at todayisthedayliveit.com. That's todayisthedayliveit.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. I'm the host, Jody Grinwald, and as I say on every single episode, I interview the changemakers, the inspirers, and those who are disrupting the status quo in the best way possible. And today I have Lisa Allen with me. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Jody, how are you? Thank you for having me here.
I'm so happy to have you. I'm so happy that I have to give her a shout out right from the top here. Heather Mistretta introduced us. I love when change makers introduce other change makers. It's awesome. Heather's awesome, right?
Absolutely. I love Heather. Yes.
Well, I'm going to read a little bit of your bio, and then we're going to get into a really great conversation. You have a lot to share. Lisa is what I call truly a multi-potentialite. As I've been using that term, I borrowed it from someone who did a TED Talk, and I'm grateful to the person who did. Coach Lisa Allen is a visionary business strategist, global systems consultant, philanthropist, and trauma-informed leader dedicated to driving sustainable change. She's the co-founder, alongside her husband, Ernest Allen Jr., of L&E Innovative Business Solutions, LLP, a consulting firm rooted in equity, innovation, and strategic growth. And then also, she's also the host of the Journey to Divine Intervention radio show, which I'm excited. I believe I'm going to be a guest, so I'm looking forward. We're turning the tables, Lisa. And it's a powerful storytelling platform where leaders from around the globe share the human side of their success stories. The show cultivates lasting connections and often sparks collaborations among guests that promote well-being, innovation, and sustained impact. I know the feeling. You and I are on that journey together. As a dedicated philanthropist, Lisa actively collaborates with Midwifery Exchange in Ghana, supporting their mission to improve maternal and child health outcomes. And also, Lisa serves as the CEO president of Those Eyes Can Heal, a nonprofit organization that supports children and caregivers impacted by long-term incarceration, community violence, or other profound losses. The organization distributes hygiene essentials to over 350 families and maintains a year-round dignity closet for students and partners with agencies to create safe, judgment-free access to supplies. As the owner of L&E Creative Opulence, Lisa channels her creative passion into refurbishing and repurposing furnishings, transferring pieces into expressions of beauty and love. There's so much to talk about, Lisa. Don't even know where to start, but we will get started. How did it feel to hear all of that? Sometimes we write it, but we don't always hear somebody read it.
I really don't even pay attention to it. I'm like, okay, that's my world. It is what it is. It doesn't make me feel as if I'm on any type of plateau or are just, I'm living life, and it feels good just to live life the way that you authentically want to live it.
I love that. That is so very true. So let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. Lisa as a child. I
Oh,
always like to do this because the reason I do this too for the listeners, and I do it almost with every guest, is that where we start is not where we grow and go to.
mhm,
And the person we think we are today, where we are right now, will not be the person we are 20
right.
years from now.
Mhm.
So it's always nice to hear the journey and the trajectories, just so that people understand there's a tremendous amount of potential for all of us to grow and go. So let's talk about young Lisa. Tell us a little bit about her. Was she an introvert, an extrovert? What did you enjoy back then?
Oh, you'll hear a story, okay? Because
Oh,
I'm,
yay.
yeah, and it's a story that you would say, what? Yes. And so I was born in the 70s. I was born in 71. And as you can see, I'm a Black child in the 70s. And I was adopted at the age of 3. But prior to that, I was placed in foster homes that uh, didn't quite accept Black children. So I was abused every day. When I woke up, I was beat with a yardstick and placed in a tub. I was then placed at the bottom of a staircase and with coloring books and books all day while I could peer around my shoulder and look into the living room and see the family, the mother, the father, and the disabled foster child that was white in the living room with the fireplace and the TV, and they were eating. I was fed prior to being picked up by families that were interested in adopting. And at that time, I was fed baby food whenever you sit up that first stage of baby food. And I was then brought outside for a few minutes. And I would assume that there was a story to be told when I left with the families that I went outside, I played, did all of that. But that wasn't me, you know. I didn't know where to place it. Trauma is something. It's really something when you're at the age of 2 and you can remember that at the age of 53, right? And so I learned to read by the time I was 3 very well. I learned to color in the lines by the age of 2. I often tell people I don't like to read or write. I graduated with my master's in social work with national honors. I didn't fully read a book at all. And so I have talents and I don't know where they come from, but I have trauma and I absolutely know where they come from. Right. And so when you have those, you make, I believe that you are nurtured and cultivated by the adults around you, and that early intervention is placed from 0 to 3 for a reason. And you could either be nurtured very well or nurtured another way. And then you become a teenager. Now I think it's about 8 or 9. And back then it was a teenager. You hit 13 and you're grown and you have a mind of your own and you decide that, you're living life. Then you become an adult and you take the things from your childhood and teenage years and you make a decision on who you're going to be. But when you're not nurtured and cultivated right, your years become choppy. And those were my years until I decided that they weren't. And then here I am.
So much I want to thank, first of all, number one, I want to thank you for sharing that. I know that it's never easy, when you're sharing about trauma. And I always tell my listeners to, when my guests are vulnerable, and we
Mhm.
support them and we thank you them for sharing. There's somebody out there right now that might have just heard your story and may feel like that trauma is holding them back in their current situation of it being an adult. That trauma has really gotten to them and has held them back from the things that they've wanted to do. What advice can you give them today to help move them forward? What can they do to heal, do you believe? Everybody's healing experience is different, so this is very general terms, but what did you do to heal and move through?
Well, I experienced another traumatic experience, and it was one that wasn't self-inflicted, right? Because throughout the years, you often, as a person with trauma, will do some self-inflicting pain, you know, and to say the least, and we'll leave it at that. And but then, when you change, you believe in the world should also change around you, but it doesn't, you know, and some things sometimes have to happen for you to then start doing self-exploration. And it was at that time that I decided, which is the my website and an initiative, the Journey to My Cup, because I realized that, whatever's in my cup is for me. And whatever flows out of it is for everybody else. And if my cup isn't full, I have nothing to give. And so I really dived into a deep exploration of me. And I thought that that was vitally important. And it was. It was vitally important to my shifts. It was vitally important towards my direction, my focus. Everything changed. And within that, I realized that everyone's not the same. People love you the best way they know how. It's up to us to teach others how to love us. And we can't do that unless we understand what it is that we need, right? And we can't find what we need from someone else. We have to explore that for ourselves. And that is difficult because, toxic relationships are easy, and I was in one for a very long time. Healthy relationships are hard, so having one with yourself is very difficult. So I would say that, the road to it is going to be difficult. The road to healing is difficult, you know, but you have to do it. Success, some it happens overnight, uh, but it's not important. What is important is you. What's important is your mental well-being, your physical health. You can't even take care of your children or do the best job that you do at whatever it is that you do unless you take care of yourself. How happy are you getting up in the morning? Do you cry? Do you not want to get up? Do you complain when you get to work? Do you say, I wish I could be like that or like this? That's unhealthy. You need to question yourself, not others, not question your boss, not question your husband or your wife, not question things around you. Question yourself. Be accountable for that. They say that the pain may not be your fault, but the healing is definitely your responsibility, and that's a hard one to grasp.
Yes. I have to stop you there for a minute because can you say that one more time? I really love what you just said because it's so true. The pain may not.
The pain may not be your fault, but the healing is definitely your responsibility.
And I think a lot of times, knowing I've been through my own trauma and knowing others who have been through trauma, they feel like they're so angry that they have something to heal about that they stay in this space of feeling so victimized that they don't know how to heal because they're so angry
Yeah.
at who was responsible.
Mm.
So how long did you live in that foster home?
Well, I was adopted at the age of 3. How long I was there off and on, I don't know. I was adopted twice, I heard. I knew that I ended up in a home. I knew that there was a man that touched me. And then I knew uh, the surroundings of it. I even knew that I ended up in the backyard in the middle of the night when I got up and I walked out as a baby, and then the nuns came and picked me up and flew me back to Massachusetts. And then it started the process over again. And then, but I could say that I met a wonderful family, the ones that adopted me, my mom and my dad. I had, two working parents, lived on a
Oh,
corner lot in the suburbs, I had a good life. But but there was trauma that was unresolved. So I had to figure that out myself, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I am so glad that the story ended well with a good family. I'm so sorry for what you went through.
No, don't be
Let's
sorry. Don't be sorry. You don't be sorry, because if I hadn't gone through the things that I've gone through, I
Mhm.
wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is that we don't realize that there those things that a lot of people don't believe this happened for a reason. If you don't have that mindset, that's okay. My mindset is it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to think about how could that possibly be happening for a reason, but you are who you are today because of all the things that brought us to this space. So we could be successful, whatever that looks like for you,
Mhm.
or choose to not be by being stuck in it. And there's so much help out there nowadays, especially with coaches like yourself, that and myself as well, who are doing the work, right, to try to help others as well. So let's talk about what you thought you were going to be when you grew up.
Oh, what I thought I was going to be was a detective. I thought I was going to be a detective.
Really?
My
Why a detective?
because I don't know, I was like a girl tomboy. I love the boys, but I love to climb the trees. And so I really wanted to be a police officer, and my mother told me that ladies aren't police officers. So since ladies weren't police officers, and my mother was a lady, and she really wanted her girls. It was just my sister and I, and she wanted her girls to just be ladies, right? And I get it that, and so wonk wonk wonk, there it went. However, however, years later, it's weird. Years later, I was running a residential, and one of the case managers really wanted to be a probation officer. And she says, I want to go take the civil service test. And she was scared. And so I said, well, that's cool because I always wanted to be a police officer. We'll go together. And I did. And we both passed, and she's a probation officer now. So at least I went that far to take and pass that test. So
That's awesome. So where did your journey take you after that?
for uh about 2 decades, I ran residentials. I ran residentials for children, women with children with substance use, Section 35 men facilities. So most of my journey, and I've worked as a CNA, I've done that too, but most of my journey, as you see, has been with human services. I then got my undergrad in human services. I graduated with honors. Again, I told you I don't like to read or write, but somehow I just did it. And then I went to the same school. Shout out to Springfield College. I went there for my graduate degree and received my graduate degree and was inducted into the Phi Alpha National Honor Society. And again, I don't like to read or write, but I do it very well, right? I do it somewhat well, right? And I do somewhat well, but yes. And so my journey took me to people, right? But I have a social anxiety, and people would never know it, right? And so when I'm in just regular social settings, I'm very awkward. People would think you're not smart, you're not a lot of things when I just randomly sit down and talk to someone. But if I'm put into a business setting, I thrive, and I think of in ways that uh, people normally don't think, and I can engage with just about anybody. It doesn't matter if you're, black, white, Chinese, straight, gay, purple, blue, you know. Uh, at one short time, I even coached for AANE for Asperger's and autism, and I remember a child who didn't speak during COVID, and I met them, and the parents really wanted him to talk. And he would get up there and he would say, "Meh." And I'm like, well, that's a language. And by the short time that I was with them, he was speaking again. But then I had to leave
Mm.
because of my own illness. But yes, he was speaking again. So I'm adaptable because I think it was because I was silent so many times in my life. And so I realized that people want to be heard, even if you don't listen to me. I try to engage enough for others.
And people do want to be heard.
Yes.
And that is very, very true. And you know what? The most forward-facing people are and I've spoken to many that are struggle with imposter syndrome. They do. They struggle with, being putting themselves out there. Everybody thinks they're all confident and they've got like a great, all this confidence. And then they go out there and you don't know what's going on inside. So hearing about you having social anxiety, I think so many people have it, they don't like to share about it, because and they struggle in certain situations. I know myself, I love networking events, but
Mhm.
every once in a while I'll walk into one, I don't know anyone, not even one person, and you're like, okay, where do I go from here? And you start to feel lost. You're swimming, you're trying to tread water. Everybody seems to be swimming just fine. I'm treading water, and no matter how I'm very easily can talk to people, but it's that first initial piece of saying hello and introducing yourself to a stranger. So it's very common, but it's wonderful that you help people through your own anxiety, right? You're still being able to do incredible work because the business situation has you have a different hat.
Yeah.
You're no longer just Lisa Allen. You're Lisa Allen that represents XYZ company.
Yeah. Yeah. And just moving in your purpose, you just have to do what you do. But I love what I do.
Yeah.
I'd rather work 24 hours a day doing what I love than working 3 hours doing what I don't.
Yes. And so many people are doing what they don't want to do because they feel like they have to because they've always done it. Or how am I going to make doing money doing what I'm passionate about?
Right.
And I love helping people figure that out. And you love helping people figure that out. So let's talk a little bit about your businesses. I don't know, which one would you like to start with? Because I want to share with our listeners all the work that you're doing.
Well, I guess the minimal to the bigger, right?
Sure.
Okay, I could do that because then yeah. So the minimal is two, which is the creative opulence. I'm a creative being, always have been. And so I have a business called L&E Creative Opulence, and I do what it is, creative work. I do anywhere from refurbishing to repurposing furnishings. Um, I do custom gardens, yes, through healing, because I believe a lot of people now suffer from anxiety, depression, or it being its culmination from PTSD. And people often, after COVID alone, don't go outside, and struggle with even just sitting on their decks. They just stay inside, and gardens are a way to get you to nature, to ground you, to get your hands with the earth, right? And just move you in different ways. I know that movement itself, I've learned for working through one of the organizations that had a lot of OTs that it changes you, it moves the cycles in your brain and the dopamine, and you're feeling a little bit better. And if you're sitting in your house in your bed, you know, it's it just it's going to keep you in that state. So I do those custom gardens. So L&E Creative Opulence, that's what I do. It's all me. My husband doesn't do a thing. Well, I guess okay, we're gonna put him in it too. He he helps with the financing parts of it, some, things like that. So he's involved. And so I have that. So next is Those Eyes Can Heal. Ah, that's a story.
Share, please.
That's a story. So in 2023, I was working at a agency part-time doing therapy. I met a 6-year-old African American boy, the prettiest little thing you could see in ever. My Lord. His father was murdered in our town, one of the first few that were murdered that year. We had the highest rates of gun violence in the state of Massachusetts, higher than Boston, and we're a small city. Um, and I try to find other things than me as a therapist working with him that would support his needs. And so I looked around, and the places that had, groups for children were in areas that I didn't believe would accept a BIPOC child whose father was murdered, right? It was a grief group for children, but what would happen with Caucasian parents and children knowing that this child's. And so I looked around, and then I talked to someone who was on the board. And I asked why they didn't bring it to our town or to any of the others that were affected by gun violence. But yet they skipped over and went to another town that didn't have any violence. I mean, they had some, but not to that extent. And they said because there wasn't any money given. And so I quit my job and I started Those Eyes Can Heal. And I decided I wanted to have a silent march because I was tired of people marching down to City Hall because it was ineffective. And I got everybody involved till it dwindled down. It was during the time of voting for the mayor, for the city council. People thought that I was doing it for political reasons. I didn't even really know a lot about politics at that time. I really didn't. And it became really political. They went to businesses and told them not to work with me. They told people not to get on my board. A lot of things because I was very clear in my messaging because I'm a social worker. They told me women's suffrage, we're advocates. So I decided I was going to play my role. And I let the mayor know and the city council know and all the pastors of the churches know that this was a research and that I was going to tell the story about it like I am right now. And that, that this was a research because you can't make change until you find out where the problem is. And so they thought that was a threat because maybe leaders of the city may be the problem as to why there's such high gun violence, high murder rates, in this city. And still, right? And so they tried to silence me, but I had the march. It started off in a park. It was led by a hearse, by one of the local funeral homes that most of the murders are taken, the families go to them. And so they provided their service for free. They led the march from there. We had circles of prayer with local pastors and people from mosques, so different religions came there. We marched from the park down the street. All you could hear in the streets was silence and signs and claps. It was on the news. The news came to cover it. They tried to stop them too. Yes, they did. They even inserted people onto my board to see what was going on so they could stop what was going on, but it didn't. And we walked from that park all the way to the graveyard where they're all buried. And we had family members speak on the same graveyard that their children was buried.
Wow. Wow.
And they thought they
Incredible.
could stop me. Thought they can shut my business down, and it didn't happen. As a matter of fact, It fueled me. It fueled me. It fueled me because I'm not going to be silenced. And if you want me to, that's fine. I don't really want to talk to anybody anyways, but I'm not going to allow the world to be silenced because it wasn't about me. It was about the community that needed to heal. It was about bringing people together differently to have different conversations. It was about coming together because that's the only way that change will happen. And so I started the radio show. And I figured if you're going to silence me, I'm going to let the world be heard. So the radio show, The Journey to Divine Intervention, is just that. Oh, and Those Eyes Can Heal is still going, and we're still doing our efforts. And a matter of fact, we're doing even more efforts coming up, helping women within the community. So it hasn't died. As a matter of fact, I said, I don't have to worry about that. They'll either work with me or they'll work with me, and they are. Um, and it's all political, and, it's not personal, it's business. And so I started a radio show, and which is aired in the UK, Canada, parts of Africa, Australia, Denmark, of course, the US, because that's where we're from. And what it does is it gives a space and a place for people to share their journeys, whatever that may be. But I don't end there. So everyone, for the most part, that comes onto my show, I hope that they remain in a relationship, because I meet with so many people across the globe. Why not connect? I may meet you and I may have no business intentions with you, but a friendship. But I know that you may do something that somebody else could benefit. And so this platform allows people's voices to be heard, connections to be made. Um, and it's just authentic. And it's allowing people to be that and for people to grow.
That's
And
beautiful. Before you go further, I just want to ask you, how do people find Journey to Divine Intervention, the show?
okay, so couple of ways to be a guest on the Journey to Divine Intervention show and anything of my business. They can go to thejourneytomycup.com. It's so simple. Thejourneytomycup.com. All of my businesses are underneath there. If they want to reach me, send a comment to me, look at the different businesses that I do. It's all under The Journey to My Cup, because everything that I do is part of my journey.
So well put, and it is everything we do. I know you're a multi-potentialite, like I said in the beginning, as I am too. It's the way, right? Isn't it the way we all fill our cups, right?
Yes.
That's
Mm-hmm.
and there's that saying, is your glass half full? Is your glass half empty? I just say I'm lucky to have a glass.
Right.
You know what, right? Aren't we just lucky to have the glass? Sometimes it's half full, sometimes it's half empty.
Yes. Mine was broken it was like crack, and it kept leaking out, and it was
Yeah,
like, Lisa, are you going to keep breaking your glass, or are you going to put it together? What are you going to do? You know?
yeah, yeah. You got to get that glue out. That crazy glue out. Keep it together. Keep it together. So, all right, now there's still more though. There's still more. We haven't covered all of your businesses yet. So, where
Yeah.
are we heading next?
Oh, well, then we're heading to, the L&E Innovative Business Solution. That's my business. And it started before anything else. So L&E Innovative Business Solution was the first. It's my husband and I. So L, Lisa, E, Ernest, Innovative Business Solutions. We're partners in this. And we are a multifaceted organization consulting firm. For the past year, I've been on a philanthropy addiction, I would call it, because I couldn't stop. Um, and so we help scale businesses. We work across the globe. I do the majority of it. My husband works mostly when we work with substance use. He is a substance use educator. So he does licensing and he teaches for that. So when we work with outpatient clinics or anything with the Department of Public Health, he steps in for that. But for the philanthropy portion of it, it's me. Because I do most of the scaling of the businesses, strategic plannings, coaching, things of that nature. And so for the past year, I've been um, working with various businesses. But since about, I think it was October, I've been working with the Midwifery Exchange in Ghana, which comprises of Bay Path University, Bay State Health Systems, and Trinity Health of New England. The three of them work together to comprise the Midwifery Exchange in Ghana, where they provide trainings and resources to the midwifery clinics down in Ghana, and also working with the hospitals down in Ghana and Accra as well. So someone came onto my radio show who was on the board. Actually, it was my co-pastor who was on the board of the physician assistants at Bay Path, and was asking if I could assist, knowing what I do for a business. So I said sure, and I didn't know what it would be about, and I didn't even know what it was, right? And all of a sudden, it was the Midwifery Exchange in Ghana, and so I kind of looked through their website, and realized right away that, our dollars are a lot more than what theirs is down there. However, they're not getting a lot, which they could get a lot more. And I believe that agencies make money, and they should be able to support what's happening down there when there is an astronomical amount of babies dying, and increased rates of teenage pregnancies. So I decided to give a year long to them as well, a philanthropy services from L&E. I have secured the largest platform in the world, Gyn Zone from Denmark, to provide services to Ghana. And right now they are on a 5-week pilot of their platform for the midwifery and OBGYN down there. And I'm also securing, others as well. And I'm also working with nurses from those hospitals that are attached to that, who are also doing a national menopause education initiative as well. So I'm connecting them with businesses as well. So I do a lot of connections. I meet a lot of people across the globe. So a lot of it is collaborations. But right now, I'm currently under contract with an outpatient clinic who is looking to expand out in Brockton, Massachusetts. And I have just been asked for my business to also take on and be their site manager and oversee the one who actually oversees who runs that outpatient clinic, and kind of look at all facets of the business, and determine the move, one, to a beautiful location, two, how to scale that business really quickly. What would it look like, the financials, even down to the trainings and onboardings and things of that nature. So we as a business do all of that, but most importantly, work on the collaborations. Most recently, I met with Gusi Tano, who is the presidential advisor of Your Excellency, the president of Ghana, John Muhammad. And they're working on the 24-hour economy initiative in Ghana, which they're trying to really open up their businesses into a 24-hour model. And so I met with them because of some of the sustainability projects I'm working with. When I met some of the midwifery um, uh, midwives down there, I'm working with one in particular, and trying to bring community gardens and food banks to Ghana so that they can learn to self-sustain. And then talking about the saturated markets in Ghana. So right now they're working on something for me so that I can put something together for them so that hopefully we could work together and helping them become independent as people and thrive a little bit better, reduce crime, reduce deaths, and then also maybe help with better exchange between the countries. And you know, they have rich soil in Africa, gold, you know, a lot of products that are we use. And if we could form good relations, you know, then we can tap into that because that's what they're looking to do. So I tried to form relationships all around the world, no matter what condition of the world we're in.
Yes,
Mhm.
I understand. Yes, I understand exactly what you're saying here. Um, so what does all of this give to Lisa?
Mm. Oh, okay. That was, you know, I said to my husband yesterday, I said, you know, simple things are hard for me. Hard things are easy. And you just said like something simple. And I'm like, huh? What does this all mean to Lisa? I never thought about that. What does it mean to me?
What does it do for you?
What does it do for me?
Mhm.
Well, um, it drives me for more. It drives me to do better. It drives like every time that I'm blessed with a contract, a successful uh philanthropy job, right? Like they're happy, they're excited, right? It tells me that who I thought I was at one point, I'm not. Who I believe I am on some days, you know, when those tears roll, that I'm not. It drives me to be a better human for me because I wasn't for me for so long. You know, it makes me understand that my life is for me. You know, I'm born alone, literally, you know, and you're gonna die alone. You can't bring you know, you can't bring the hearse with you. You can't bring the U-Haul with you. So, like, it just fuels me to be better. It fuels me to bless others as I get blessed. It makes me connect more with me. It it makes me understand people a little bit better. Um, it makes me okay with saying no. It it just I have an identity today where before I didn't. I was either a mom, a wife, uh weird, which, by the way, the world should know. Weird means fantastic. So thank you for all of these years for calling me that. And I brought myself to a place of what I believed it was instead of going to a place what it actually was. And so I thank the world for that. You know, so today, what it does for me is it makes me stand on the grounds of me. It makes me proud to say that I'm Lisa. That name alone has never changed since birth. That is the only thing, the only name, the only existence that I have since I was born.
That is so true. You have changed. We all have from where we started to now, like we said before. But the only thing that's remained constant is our name, our first name, you know, for sure. And it's well said. Now, I have to go back to what you said about being weird. I'm one of those weirdos too. So I'm part of the weirdo club. Yay, we're gonna get shirts. And because like you, a lot of the things that are really easy for other people are harder for me. and the things that people can't believe I've done, I feel like, what do you mean? That's not a big deal. Like, but yet they're like, you started a podcast, you did this, you did that. Like people who can't move, they want to do it, but they don't know how, and they're afraid to, and well, have imposter syndrome and all of that holds them back. But then there's other things that they're doing, and I'm looking at them going, do that. And it's for them, they're like, that's so easy. So weird is different for everyone, but I understand exactly what you mean because I don't fit into any box.
Right.
There's, and none of us really do. I think we all have our own little quirks. Nobody's
Mhm.
perfect,
Right.
but I definitely did not sit at the popular table in school. That was not who I was. I don't know if you did, but I definitely did not.
No, 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 not at all. I didn't, I told you I was awkward, when you're not taught how to communicate, those 3 years are important, everyone. Those 3 years are important, and if you don't learn, then even though you may speak well, or you could read well, or you could do this, that's hard because you were never taught. You say, well, you should know. You're an adult. Yeah, I do. I know how to do this. I could talk to you on here. I could, no, it's weird. I don't like it. I don't want it.
What have we not shared that you would like the listeners to know?
Hmm. I just think that, you know, right now, a lot of people have some uncertainties, and people are trying to figure themselves out. Whether it's, am I going to stay at this job? Or I don't have a job, I don't know where I'm going. Whatever the situation is, don't sit there in despair. I've done that for you already. I've carried your pain, I've done it. Okay, so say I've given it to Lisa, right? Um, and like even when I'm doing therapy, I tell people, you have a problem, and I don't want to see you forever. So let's get to the solution. And if you are struggling to figure out where to go, one, thejourneytomycup.com, we can direct you there, but there's always a solution. There's always a solution. No one has to go without. There's an answer to everything, even if it may not be in your time. There is. But if you take your energy into a place of worry, of anger, of sadness, you will then have wasted that much time in the preparation for success. Because I said to myself, and I think I put it on Facebook, and I think I did, that I was going to turn my 5-year plan into my 5-month plan. And I did. And I did.
Can
And
you
you could, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry because that's a big difference. 5 months, 5 year, 5 month. We
Yeah.
may want to just give a little information on how you did that. We don't have to share exactly what you did, but what it was. Give us a little more because that's a very shortened
Well,
timeline.
well, well, even with the midwifery exchange, I literally within 2 weeks, I had the Gyne Zone to the table in a meeting on Zoom, and secured that for free. I think it ended up being like, I don't know, like $15,000 in in-kind donations for the year. And their budget is only like not even that for down there, right? So yes. So I move very quickly. I have a skill set. And I'm saying to myself, if I'm doing it for others, right? You're like, I need this collaboration and you're paying me for this. And I'm like, okay, bam. I know a person over in the UK. I know a person over in Australia. I'm going to make this happen, right? And if I'm making money for other people, I turned it around and I said, no, 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 this doesn't sound right when you're broke.
Yes, I totally understand.
So
You're speaking my language, Lisa.
yeah, so what I did was just like I said too, with this self-exploration. One of the things I do is I make custom journals because I believe that people make journals, and I'm saying to myself, does everybody have the same sadness? I know that we each see, I can't see through your eyes. I can't hear through your ears. I know what pain feels like, but I can never understand what pain feels like from your perspective, right? So all my journals are customized journals because we're individuals. We're singular people. We are our own humans and we move in our own direction. So I was able to create that in the midst of my own self-exploration, to realize that nothing works because it's not for me. It was for the person who made it. Right. And so I dove into this self-exploration to find out what I needed to move myself forward. And it helped other people along the way. It helped people in my therapy, doing therapy with them, and help people when I'm coach, I do with my business coaching. So I don't give anything to anybody that I haven't explored myself. hmm And I moved in that purpose to see how would it shift my business. Do I want to forecast my business on a 5-year plan, that 3 or 2 year plan that everybody keeps talking about? When is my business going to get on the move? Well, there's a way to get it moving if you want the answer to it, right? Let's move. Let's go, right?
Mhm.
You know, and I work with neurodivergents that have moved their business and scaled it like poof, you know, a neurodivergent that can't, I'm putting this here, it's going to stay here. And where did I put it? Where's it at? What was I doing? What was I doing 2 seconds ago? Wait a minute, I start this project. I can't finish it. Oh, but now they're taking on big, big contracts in the Adirondacks, right? And so moving in my purpose. There's strategic ways to do it, and I figured that along the way, and that's how I put my journals together to, as I do executive coaching, if I just, do something like that, but it was that drive and finding out who I was and being accountable for every mistake that I made along the way, being okay with all the beat ups that I got, you know, and and shifting my position. And also during that time, I positioned myself very well. I want to shout out, because I have to say this because we started off like this. I want to shout out to Heather again and Wage International, right? Because that was part of that. I picked up, I think I reached out to Heather on Facebook or something. I don't know where it was. And I said, hey, I said, are you looking for a board member? Because I knew that I also needed to position myself well within the world, right? And to get involved in things that I could help, and that could also, connect me to things as well. And so she was like, no. And to be okay with things like that. But we ended up talking. The connection happened, and there I was. Now I'm on a board trustee of Wage International, which is an amazing organization, by the way, world. You all need to go and check them out. Um, And it's just that. What is your purpose? What is your drive? Move in it and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And then when I decided that I was no longer going to be afraid of me, my 5-year plan then became my 5-month plan, and I succeeded.
That's so beautiful. Number one, congratulations for succeeding. So your 5 months are you're past your 5 months at this point, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's actually been a year. I started on that particular journey, March of 2023. And here it is a year later, and I am moving along, and I'm not no longer taking like 2-3 month contracts. I just secured like a year. So like
Yeah.
they're, so things are moving in directions. I mean, I'm like, oh, a year. I have to see you for a whole year. It's like work, but I'll take it,
Yes.
so but I work, like I said, globally, but domestically, I work, from coast to coast, supporting businesses. And if I can do it, the world can do it. And I don't be afraid of what's happening, with the economy. You know, there's strategic ways to keep your businesses alive and to continue to thrive.
Oh, so well put. I could talk to you for hours where we're at kind of close to time here, and I feel bad because I could go. You have so much insight. We'll have you come back again and share more because it's incredible. Again, one more time, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at The Journey to My Cup, just as it says, thejourneytomycup.com. And if you would like to email me, it's Coach Lisa Allen at thejourneytomycup.com.
So beautiful. Lisa, thank you for sharing your heart, your story, your incredible story. I know there's more, so we're going to have you come back again and share even more with us. And congratulations and kudos to all the work that you're doing and all the people that you're helping. I mean, what a gift. What a gift you are to the world. And we're just so happy to be connected with you now. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you for having me on your show, Jody. And you have an amazing show, and I hope that anyone that is listening goes and listens to all of the other tons of other shows and a lot of guests that you have had on here, and I can't wait to listen to them all. Thank you.
Well, welcome to the Changemaker family because everybody who's on gets welcomed to like you. I love to introduce all my changemakers to each other. And we are very lucky because I want to thank the 895 plus cities who have downloaded this podcast, over 7 people in over 72 countries. I'm grateful, and I love that your voices are being heard through this platform. So this is the ride that I was supposed to be on, unbeknownst to me, and I'm glad that I'm here and meeting such incredible people. If you haven't subscribed to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel, please subscribe so that more of these stories can be shared. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at Today is the Day Live It. And please go to todayisthedayliveit.com and learn all about what Today is the Day has to offer. Lisa Allen, thank you so much for your time and your unbelievable blessings. And I'm going to say what I say at the end of every single podcast. Today is the day. You cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. So what steps, small or large, are you going to take today to get yourself closer to your goals? Have a great week, everyone. To stay connected, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Today is the Day Live It, or subscribe to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel. And to learn more about how I help leaders and organizations strengthen culture, improve communication, and drive profitable growth through authentic connection and courageous action, go to todayisthedayliveit.com. And don't miss the upcoming Today is the Day Changemakers International Forum, a free global event where changemakers will share insights across 6 different powerful topics: the burnout breakthrough, rewriting the rules of working in wellness, rising to uncertainty, how to lead with resilience in unpredictable times, louder than the scroll, when fundraising follows purpose, becoming who you haven't met yet, and entrepreneurship as a global connector. Register for free at todayisthedayliveit.com. That's todayisthedayliveit.com.